armor and things like that. It's just kind of a better all-around unit, kind of like leveling up. So here we have the Greyhound immediately getting the armored skirts. That's a very important ability. It really helps you last a little bit longer to get the armored skirts. Also good is the 50mm machine gunner upgrade. But here we can see that hopefully if this guy can stop missing all the time, he'll be able to do some damage to this accomplished HMG team. But unfortunately, the one downside to the Greyhound is that it does have a slow rate of fire from its main cannon. But this machine gun is actually picking up and being forced to retreat anyways. Still capping on all sides of the map here. Here comes the big bulk of the army here. We've got these Vet 3 riflemen and Vet 2 riflemen. Just with all their little trinkets and everything, just ready to come down here and take everything out, backed up soundly by the Greyhound. We can see once again we've got this. This happened a little bit earlier, and here's a little anecdote about a buddy of mine named Guantes. We all call him G. Started doing this very early on in the beta, and he would do this with opening engineers, and we all called it G-bagging. And it's just dropping sandbags so that you have green cover. Just take 1 second to build some sandbags, and then fight from behind green cover. And it's a pretty neat trick. And oh my god, you can see it. He's just shooting medics. He's shooting retreating men everywhere. He doesn't even care. Look at this. Here comes another medic. He'll probably gun him down as well. Stefan is just violating all aspects of the Geneva Convention. And I think, you know, if you were to ask Stefan, what are you doing? How could you possibly shoot women and children? He'd just be like, oh, it's easy. You just don't lead them as much, you know, because they run slower. Anyhow. That is a Full Metal Jacket reference, by the way. That's right. Tune into HarlequinCoHO. We'll get war history, movie quotes, commentary, all that sort of stuff. Now might be a good time to remind you that if you happen to like these kind of commentaries, feel free to subscribe and leave me some comments and that sort of stuff. Anyhow, well, we just saw that Greyhound take a couple of Panzerschrecks to the butt, and he managed to get away, getting his engine damaged by the last of the machine gun fire. Luckily, he was backed up by all of these Vet 3 riflemen. Look at this, 2 squads of Vet 3 riflemen. That is a force to be reckoned with. And suddenly you can see that just by the power of his army alone, Stefan really has managed to recap most of this map. The only thing that's really kind of sapping him is that he has to constantly run back and come home and run back and come home. And now we see our first Rangers out here. Rangers are equipped with bazookas as well as hand grenades, as well as good rifles against infantry and these sorts of things. You see they've got these little rifles and that sort of stuff. They tend to do really well against infantry, really well against light vehicles. But here's Stefan's major trick. He's going to be using these bazookas against the bunker. He just really wants to take this bunker out. He's sick and tired of it. He's already artillery one to the ground. And you'll see he's taken some heavy losses here from this machine gun. This machine gun is just firing no holds barred against him. He's even dropped a flare, so flare reduces the armor of the targets. And suddenly Stefan activates infantry attrition, which means as soon as you lose an entire squad, while this ability is activated, you are rewarded with a bonus squad. And as you can see, I'll take a quick cut up here to show you that the new Rangers have arrived. And meanwhile, this is a clever move by Stefan. He knows he's going to lose some units, so he picks up this heavy machine gunner. He had 4 guys left, used 3 of them to pick up the heavy machine gunner, retreated with the remaining guy who got killed and thus replaced with a full squad, and then he had a chance to run away with his machine gun, but no, he gets cut off. So he almost got a free machine gun for that transaction if you were keeping track of the numbers, but it didn't quite work out. He still got a free infantry squad out of it, though. So, you know, that's a clever trick. If you can manage that one, split your group up so that they pick up a piece of ordnance and then get the last guy killed while it's active, you get ordnance and a new unit. It's really good idea. So let's take a look around and see what else we got going on here. So the riflemen, just kind of capping things now finally. This is kind of the work you need to do. You just, like, at some point somebody has to sit down and cap a point. It's not the most glorious work, but you have to go around and pick things up. Meanwhile, the guys who are doing the capping, however, are just kind of being caught. It looks like he might even get a little bit of a flank here, but thankfully these units are pretty wounded. Stefan moving down with the bulk of his army now. So we're going to start seeing that this is the theme of infantry players, is that especially infantry attrition infantry players, is that I will trade you my units for your units, but then I'll get my units back for free by using 50 munitions on infantry attrition. And that kind of exchange is not sustainable for your opponent. If every time you sacrifice a squad of units to take out something of theirs, you get your units back, you'll win in the long term. They just can't keep up with that level of production. And that's kind of the idea here, is he just runs him down. This is, you know, and I like the historical reference here. This is kind of like your Normandy-style fighting tactic, where it's just like, yep, yeah, we know that they're dug in, and what we're just gonna just sacrifice thousands of lives, and then eventually we'll get the end goal met here. So Stefan is trying the same tactic again here, trying to get shots off with these bazookas, but he realizes he doesn't have attrition up and he has to retreat. So he does a little bit of damage, but this is a huge influx of Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers, and they have Panzerschrecks, and there's just lots of ordnance there. So he needs to back out. These cap points are still in contention, and it looks like Stefan finally has grabbed his side of the map again, only to lose the left side. So the back and forth is continuing to happen. Retreating going on everywhere, but he has so many wonderful units. You know, he just has a lot of really good vetted up units that it doesn't really matter. He can do this forever. This is very sustainable for him, and it's unsustainable for his opponent. So we'll see some more of that. A little bit of back capping going on here. These Rangers are just kind of you know, having some crossfire here. Little crazy rifleman, Vet 3 rifleman here, just kind of suicided through that whole army to try and take out these hero mortar teams, but they didn't quite do it. Now they're going to take quite a bit of casualties and run away. You really got to take care of these. Oh my god, looks like 2 of them are left here, but it doesn't matter. Big squad of... oh, and there goes the infantry attrition as this big squad of Rangers comes pushing on in, firing bazookas everywhere. Getting a little bit of flanking action here on both sides, really, but they're just going to march right on through. And this is important to note if you're an Axis player who's fighting against infantry attrition, is that if you suspect that your opponent has fired that off, oh, and he takes out the bunker instantly, just don't kill him. It's like if you had a boss in a video game that every time you attacked it when some ability was activated, it healed. You just stop attacking during that time, because really you want to fight him down to 1 unit and then leave him alone so he has to build the rest of them. But instead, he's going to kill off all of these Rangers, which is normally a good thing, but not now. You see the very last Ranger goes down. However, they do drop weapons. It's important to note that. Anybody can just pick up a bazooka if they want it. However, 2 brand new Ranger squads have replaced those squads. So what did he do? For 50 munitions, he killed a bunker, killed a bunch of units, that sort of stuff, and really had no losses. So he can just keep doing that over and over and over again. So just going to take a quick peek here at the map to give you an idea where Stefan has come back. Remember that point of the game where he only had 2 territories really under his control? It was just his army that caused him to do that. His army and his clever decision-making as well. Silian doing a good job being aggressive with his infantry and just, you know, frankly, just having a hard time keeping up with the infantry attrition aspect of it. This is a huge force here on the right, and these infantry, they don't know which way to go. They're juking left, they're juking right, they're diving into the ground, and finally they're retreating in the worst direction possible, straight through the bayonets of their enemies. But, okay, there we go. Finally, they're making it out of here to fight another day. Looks like we have a nice little camouflage flank going on here. These guys just popped out of camo and are now attacking these Grenadiers. However, they are getting pinned a little bit by these couple of accomplished HMG team members down there. Looks like the Rangers have gone ahead and fired up. Oh, and look at this. Not only have they fired up so they can break suppression and keep firing, but he's called in an artillery strike on the remainder of these guys, and just in time, he retreats away. Look at that. Not a second too late. And, whoa, look at this. We got some giblets flying around here and rifles scattering all over the battlefield. Anyhow, some pretty good realistic physics in this game. I do enjoy the terrain. And to whichever Relic employee wrote the code that creates these beautiful looking plumes of dirt every time an explosion goes off, thank you. We appreciate it. Big flank coming on here. Vet 3 rifleman with cloak. This is serious stuff you got to look out for. Just look at the lethality of these guys. They just kill. This is just a drive-by here, and they just killed a random man. So as soon as we see them collide with another unit, it'll be good to see their potency. But really look out for that stuff. You rarely see this situation where it's the allied player with all the veterancy. But just look at how effective these guys are. No survivors at all. But oh. Mortar team is back and fully operational, and here we go. So I'm going to take a quick look down here at Silian, and you can see that he has activated his heavy armored support. At 400 manpower, this is probably a low-level version of that ability, but it does give him a Ostwind out of nowhere. And so this Ostwind does serious damage. It's a flak tank, basically, but if you fire it at infantry, it really guts infantry. You'll see it has a couple of bursts of fire, and maybe these guys will get out of here. I kind of like how that happens every now and then. Just sometimes they can't quite retreat, so they just stop and fire a few shots. And here is another tactic that I love from Stefan. So how to really take advantage of your infantry attrition. So he finds himself with a couple of battered and beat up Rangers, in particular 1 here and 3 here. And he's just going to go ahead and send them on in. If they can take a shot at an Ostwind or a shot at a bunker, why not? But at least if you can bait anybody into killing these units, he'll get free units back. So you can see already this Ostwind is focusing in on this one this one ranger left over here, and these two are getting some shots off. Boom, boom. And just keep an eye on the hit points of this Flak Panzer. He really only needs to get a few shots. This is totally, you know, this is pure profit here for Stefan. But he's just waiting. Is he going to get one more shot? We'll zoom in. Boom! There's one last shot, and there, down he goes. So he took this thing down to about, you know, a little over a quarter or a third hit points, and as a result, he resupplied all of his Rangers. So really brutal tactic there. Now, something else that happened here, and we need to go down here and check it out, is that Stefan went and during all of that built a weapon support center and built double snipers. And that was his tactic. He wanted double snipers just to be able to kill off machine gunners and that sort of thing. Very clever response. He knows the snipers are somewhere around here. He drops a flare so you can see them and sends up the Ostwind. Unfortunately, the Ostwind bumps into a whole bunch of fired up Rangers who are going to quad rocket shot him, and that will be the end. Ragdolls flying in the air and everything. So Stefan was pushing around a little bit earlier. He was sniping some machine guns on this side and sniping some more people here. But just to back up a bunch of cloaked Vet 3 riflemen with double snipers, really tricky. Late game, you usually see most people go... Whoops, was that a mortar shot landing right there? Yes, and he's retreating. But late game, you usually see people go for tanks and stuff like that. And it turns out he is going for tanks, but he took a moment to go for snipers. Very clever. So we'll have to see where that goes from here. But it's hard to tell, but Stefan is actually definitively winning this game, and the reason why it's tough is because the points don't tell you that. But Stefan doesn't care about points; he cares about killing the enemy, and the enemy just cannot keep this up. And I know it seems like a weird call, but if you just look at the sheer numbers of units that Stefan has, he's got vet riflemen, tons of riflemen, tons of rangers, tons of snipers, and now you'll see he's even taking his spare munitions and he's producing tanks. It looks like he's got 2 M10s coming out of nowhere, and you know, we take a look at our opponent here, and he's got a motorcycle, he's got a machine gun team, and just a few little squads of infantry and things like that, and they're just not really well positioned. Stefan is going to be able to just spearhead an attack into the enemy, and that'll be the end of the game, regardless of what the points say. Rangers here, let's see, playing a little footsie. Hopefully they retreat. Yep, alright, he's retreating right there. Let's see, this motorcycle is really here just because Silian is a good player and he knows that there's snipers sneaking around and he wants to see them dead. And you'll see that Stefan knows that there are no counter snipers, and so he's constantly just using snipers just by themselves. He doesn't cloak them, he just runs them around and takes shots at things. This motorcycle in desperation is trying to take out these snipers, but you can see that the Vet 3 riflemen with the cloaking bonus are just going to kill that thing instantly before they have a chance to do anything. Meanwhile, we're getting pinned up here with these riflemen, but they haven't taken any casualties yet, and the snipers are just going to move right in. Bam, bam. And unfortunately, sometimes when you have double snipers, they'll both shoot the same unit. You really do have to, and say once again, he shot one and the other guy missed the same one. You really kind of have to A-click them and then click a second guy and click on a target in the back. But things are pretty hopeless right now for Silian. It may not look that way based on map control, but it's things like mortars versus mass infantry. A couple of grenadiers who are finally Vet 1 versus Vet 3 riflemen. Look how quickly that stuff dies. I don't even think these guys have a prayer anymore. He just gunned them down in a second. It's simply a matter of Stefan getting his act together and just kind of capping all these points, and he will just push into the enemy's base and there'll be nothing left. Suddenly, you'll see that this infantry attrition style of play has left the enemy with no infantry. The enemy simply can't keep trading units over and over again. We've got wounded support teams, and that's about it. We've got a little bit of infantry over here, but again, he can't possibly compete with this, especially when we've got 2 single units of oh, and this sniper just takes out the rest of it. Was that a sniper taking out a medic? I think it was. And you can see that we've got 2 rangers here who are just going to take out this bunker, and it doesn't even matter if they get killed. These are 2 squads of 1 ranger each, and he's going to get them back no matter what. And at that point, it is game over, and as you can see, Silian has quit the game, and that is it. So I hope this gave you a good appreciation for the lethality, the utter efficiency of using infantry attrition. It's a really brutal tactic for infantry players, and here is a perfect example of it being used really, really well by a top 1% player. Both of these guys were top 1% in their ladders, just as an FYI. And here's a little sneak peek. Look in the back here. We've got 2 tank destroyers just ready to go. He didn't even get to use them. So I hope you enjoyed this replay. Once again, I am HarlequinCoHO. If you did, please subscribe, leave me some comments, let me know what kind of games you want to see in the future. And until then, good night, good luck, have fun.